Hello and welcome to Gunnar Weiskamp's Web Development. Today, Lesson 16, MVC and Dependency Injection. Today we will be talking about what is dependency injection. First of all, dependency injection is known as a design pattern. It helps speed up testing as you can simply inject a dependency into a mock application and see if you get a desired result. It promotes component-based separation of concern programming. By that I mean each dependency has its own job to do. As an example, you might have a dependency injection process that gets all the employees in a business, another dependency injection process that just handles the email actions of an application. You can then inject that dependency into your applications wherever they are needed. So the email process is just concerned about the email mechanics for the application, while the getting all the employees is just concerned about that process of getting all the employees. So there's a clear separation of concern between these two items, and that's where the separation of concern programming logic comes into it. Dependency injection also promotes loosely coupled coding versus tightly coupled coding, and does help make your code easier to read, and we will demonstrate that today as well. There are a number of companies that have created their own dependency injection procedures. They are Inject, Castle Windsor, AutoFact, Simple Lock, and Microsoft's Unity. So today I've created this in Visual Studio 2013. So just go to File, New Project here in A, shown in A, and then as in shown here in B, go to Web and make sure those items are selected. And in C, we're creating an empty MVC application. So that's what you'll need for today's app. Okay, so let's get into Visual Studio. First thing we're going to do is get an Inject, because that's what we're using today. Processes. So install this guy here first. So as you can see on the right here, we've added now, that's forced a number of references to be added. Next one is this guy here. Obviously you can see there's different MVC4 ones, but we're just going to install MVC3. And again, certain references have been added. One thing, this process will also add a certain file into our app start folder here, which I'll briefly show in a second, because that file we will have to change slightly to make the dependency injection process work. Okay, that's all our NuGet packages that we have to do. So here in this app start, just briefly, this Inject web common file has been added, but we'll talk about that more later on. Next, we're actually going to add a folder in here, a data access layer folder called a DAL, because we're going to put in here our services, which we are going to inject into our controller. So our DAL, data access layer folder here. Okay, yep, that's good. Okay, and now we're going to add an interface and a class file. Come on. Now adding a interface. Okay, let's, while we're in these files, grab some code that we're going to do. Yep. Okay, so let's grab our interface code. Okay, and now we'll grab our user process services code. Oops. This guy. Okay, now we still need to add a model here. You can see this guy here's not coming into play. We need to add a model. Then we're going to put, now let's grab our model code. It's this guy. And now we have to bring in our namespace for this. Excellent, now our models come into play there, and we have to do the same for here. Great, okay, so now we can see everything's coming into line here. Let's save all of that. Right, we've got our data access layer, we've got our models. Now we need to add our controller. Simply empty one. Home controller. While that's doing that, I'm going to grab the code for this file. Come on. Here we go. We have to bring in our namespaces. And our models folder first. And our DAO folder next. So that's all looking good. And now we're just about finished all our code changes. We do have to make a change here in this guy. Let's grab the code for him. Oops. Oh, what are you doing? That didn't like that. Come on, computer. Okay, here we go. Just this segment of code here. And we have to place that code in here. Bring in the namespace. Oops. Right, okay, so that's now comes along. So let's explain this code, saving everything from the top to start, I guess. That's one way of looking at it. So let's close all this down. We still do need to add a view, but that's not really going to be an issue in 2 seconds. So we've got this Inject web common file here. Now, it does a lot of the magic when it comes to creating this injection process. So the start comes into play here. The area that you will most likely have to fiddle with is this create kernel process here. In here, you have to bind the interface, which is here, and the service, or the actual function that you're using here and here, into this create kernel dependency action part of the code here. This way, this will now become a dependency injection process which you can use. So these are heavily related to this interface that you've created there and there. So this is just a typical interface. If you know about interfaces, it's just a typical interface which references this process in here. So maybe I can split screen this. Oops. It's never a bad way of... can I split screen this? Yeah, so this is the interface, and it holds one function, get user by ID, which is handled here in our process user service. As you can see, this process user services inherits the interface procedure there. In this get user by ID, all we're going to do, it's going to get a user by the ID. We're obviously hard coding this process in here. So we've got a list object with a bunch of users in it, and it will return the correct user found against that ID. That's a bit of a user data. Let's make that a little bit more intuitive. User data. So it will then return this model compared to the information that is put in. So if we pass the ID of 1, it will return here Tom. So that's what these two things do. That's the service. This is the service we are injecting into our controller, if that clears this injection process up. So where are we doing the injection process? Here it is here. This is typically called constructor injecting. So we've got our constructor here for our home controller. We're injecting the interface here into this controller, and this will end up here in this private variable here. And then once that's there, once this constructor is created, you can use this service here anywhere you like here in your controller. We've only got one example of it here, and we can see here that we're using it in our home page here to get a user by ID. We're going to use this 1, which will get this Tom here. If we pass a different one, like 2, we'll get Mary. But here you can see we have injected, both here and here, a service. We've injected a service that we're going to use in our application. And then we're simply just going to return that to the view there. Let's quickly add a view for this. So we do, oops, it cannot see the models folder, we have to build it first. So this is a typical, while that's building, this is a typical example of injecting a service into your application using an Inject dependency injection. So we've got here our controller, it's injected that process, and we're using it here on our home page. Okay, I think it's built, so now let's add a view. Details. Now, so we're using the user info models. I'm not going to reference everything, just keep it nice and clean. Add that. while that is building, I will explain what I mean by making your code more readable and easier to understand. Because what this dependency injection process does, it takes away this process here. You can probably see what I mean here. I've made another index process there. So there's our view. There's nothing, that's not really today's tutorial. But instead of doing this process here and calling this get user by ID by using this class newing up process, you don't have to do that anymore. You can just create it once here in your home controller and then inject it into the function that needs it. So dependency injection replaces this sort of process, which does make your code easier to read and understand. And this also is called tightly coupling your code to a dependency. This here is known as loosely coupling your code to a function, which also helps out. So that's what I meant by makes your code more readable and easy to use, because, or you can imagine having a load of dependencies and you've only got to look at one spot here. Later on, if you created 10, 20 more dependencies for your controller, if you did this process, you'd have to look for all your dependencies in all the different functions, which can make it a little bit harder to read. So that's it really. So what we're going to see as an end result, we're going to see here Tom come up on the screen. We've just got to build this application, so let's do that. And now if we just, whoa, what have I done here? We just bring these two screens together, and so here we go. So here's our window here. Let's refresh this. I've got a breakpoint in my code here, so we'll see the magic in action. So you can see here, if we just float over this variable, it's full of information. There we go, we got 12, Tom and 1. He's going to come up in a second. Yeah, so it's gone into this injected functionality here. So this is now using dependency injection. Let me just click further, and on our right here in our window, we can see Tom has been brought back via the use of dependency injection. So that's it really for today. Please subscribe to my channel, or you can also visit my website as well, as if you want. And I hope this information has been of some use to you. Thank you. Bye.